Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. They threw a human war medic into the cell of their deadliest alien dragon, not knowing who he was. The metallic clang of the cell door echoed ominously, punctuating the guards' jeers as they shoved Dr. Alec Brandt inside the room. The cell was dimly illuminated only by the faint red glow of warning lights embedded in the high ceiling. The air was thick with the acrid stench of blood and sweat. Alec, the decorated war medic and veteran of countless battles, dusted himself off and surveyed his new prison. His captors, the reptilian Creek, had labeled him a traitor for saving not only human soldiers but also alien lives during the conflict. To them, his compassion was a weakness. To Alec, it was the foundation of his humanity. "You'll be meeting Carr tonight," one of the guards sneered. "A monster deserves another." Alec had not understood their meaning until now. From the shadowy depths of the cell came a low, guttural growl that resonated through his bones. He turned, his sharp green eyes locking onto two glowing orbs in the darkness. The Creek's breathing was deep and heavy, each exhale stirring the fetid air. Then the beast emerged from the shadows, Kyre, the Draconis Maximus, legendary prisoner. His scales shimmered like liquid metal, and his massive frame seemed too large for even this oversized cell. Razor-sharp claws clicked against the stone floor as he approached, his tail swishing with lethal grace. Alec didn't flinch. He stood his ground, his expression calm but calculating. "They've thrown me in with you. I take it you're not a fan of visitors," he said. Kyre stopped. His golden eyes narrowed, and he tilted his massive head as though puzzled by Alec's lack of fear. A low rumble emanated from his chest, somewhere between curiosity and warning. Alec muttered, sinking to the ground cross-legged and keeping his gaze fixed on the dragon. "They expect you to kill me, but I've seen enough death for one lifetime, so if you're going to do it, just get it over with." The dragon remained still, studying Alec with unnerving intensity. Minutes passed, but Kyre didn't strike. Instead, he let out a deep huff and lay down his massive body, curling protectively around a corner of the cell. Alec raised an eyebrow. "Well, that's unexpected." The cell was eerily quiet, save for the faint hum of the prison's environmental systems. Alec leaned back against the wall, his eyes never leaving Kyre. Although the dragon had closed his eyes, Alec could tell he wasn't asleep. His ears twitched with every slight movement, and his massive tail occasionally flicked with irritation. "Why don't you just eat me and be done with it?" Alec said half to himself. "That's what they want, isn't it?" Kyre's eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly in the dim light. He tilted his head again, almost as if amused. His voice, deep and gravelly, filled the room for the first time. "Why would I waste my energy on you, human? I eat only those who deserve it." Alec blinked momentarily, stunned. He hadn't expected the creature to speak, much less with such eloquence. "Guess I don't fit the bill," Alec said, recovering quickly. "Good to know." Kyre let out a low growl that might have been a chuckle. "You are different. Most who are thrown to me cower, beg, or scream. You do not. I've seen too much fear to be scared of what comes next," Alec replied, his voice steady. "And I've learned that appearances rarely tell the full story." The dragon's eyes narrowed. "What story do you think I have? Probably not one you'd want to share," Alec shrugged. "But I'd wager you didn't end up here because you're a mindless killer." Kyre regarded him silently for a long moment before rumbling. "Perhaps there's more to you than I thought." Alec leaned forward slightly, sensing a crack in the dragon's defensive exterior. "Perhaps there's more to you than the monster they made you out to be," he said. Kyre's lips curled back, revealing a row of sharp teeth, though it wasn't quite a snarl. "Careful, human. Flattery won't save you," Alec countered. "Observation, however, has shown me a creature who's been wronged, not a mindless beast." The dragon didn't reply, but the tension in the room shifted. For the first time, Alec felt that Kyre was no longer an enemy, or at least not a threat. In the silence that followed, a strange understanding began to take root between the medic and the creature the Creek guards called a monster. The following morning, the red light in the cell dimmed as the artificial cycle shifted. Alec woke to find Kyre packing the length of the enclosure, his tail swishing agitatedly, and the floor trembling slightly with every step. "You seem restless," Alec observed, rising to his feet. He rolled his shoulders, shaking off the stiffness from sleeping on the cold floor, a reminder that prison life was not all it was cracked up to be. Kyre paused, his golden eyes narrowing. Your humor is misplaced, human. I call it a coping mechanism. I call it what it is, Alex said, stepping closer but remaining mindful of the dragon's space. His gaze swept over Kyre's massive frame, noting the faded scars that marred his iridescent scales, some jagged, others clean and precise, as if inflicted with surgical intent. Those don't look like battlefield wounds. Kyre's growl rumbled low in his throat, a sound of anger and pain. You are observant. These are the marks of captivity, the price of rebellion. Alex's curiosity overrode his caution. The Creek used me as a weapon, a beast to terrorize their enemies. I resisted their control. I refused to destroy innocents on their command. For that, they punished me. Alex's jaw tightened. The story mirrored too many he had heard before. The abuse of power, the exploitation of those deemed lesser, and now the usage of him as a tool to scare their prisoners into submission. Kyre's eyes burned with renewed fury. Yes, they throw their condemnations at me expecting carnage, and yet they fear me more for the mercy I sometimes show. Alec nodded understandingly. That's why you didn't attack me. Kyre inclined his head slightly. You are different, human. You look at me not with fear, but with curiosity. Alec crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. And you, how do you see me? Kyre tilted his head, the faintest glimmer of amusement in his gaze. I see a man who hides his strength behind a facade of calm, a healer who has known war. That word struck a chord in Alec, though he said nothing. Instead, he approached cautiously, his movements deliberate. Let me see those wounds, he said, gesturing to the scars. I can't heal the past, but I can make sure they don't hurt anymore. Kyre hesitated, then lowered himself to the ground, his massive body coiling in a way that allowed Alec access. Do what you will, human, but tread carefully. Alec worked methodically, applying a salvaged remedy he'd crafted from scavenged materials, all the while speaking quietly. You said they used you as a weapon. That means they underestimated you, not just your strength, but your mind. Kyre rumbled, his tail twitching. They see only what they wish to see, a monster, a beast to be controlled, but their arrogance blinds them to the truth. Alec finished treating a particularly deep scar and leaned back. The truth is, I am no longer their pawn. Kyre's voice was a low growl. And neither are you. Alec raised an eyebrow. You think I'm not already planning my escape? Kyre's lips curled, exposing his sharp teeth in what might have been a grin. Good then, we are aligned. Before Alec could respond, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor outside the cell. The door slid open, revealing a squad of Creek guards armed with stun batons and plasma rifles. Their leader, a towering figure clad in segmented armor, sneered at the sight before him. Getting cozy with the beast, human, the guard captain mocked. Enjoy it while you can. Your execution is scheduled for tomorrow. Alec's expression did not waver. I'll pencil it in, he replied, the captain's sneer twisted into a scowl. We'll see how funny you are when you're feeding the dragon. Kyre let out a low growl, rising to his full height. The guards tensed, their weapons aimed at the massive creature, but Kyre did not attack. Instead, he glanced at Alec, a silent exchange passing between them. Leave the food, Alec said, gesturing to the tray one of the guards carried, and get out. The captain hesitated before barking an order. The tray was shoved into the cell, and the door slammed shut behind the retreating guards. Alec crouched, examining the food, a mix of unappetizing rations and a vial of bright orange liquid. What's that? Kyre asked, his voice laced with suspicion. Could be poison, Alec said bluntly, sniffing the vial, or just another way to mess with us. Kyre rumbled, the Creek thrive on control. They will not stop until they believe we are broken. Alec set the vial aside and stood, his expression resolute. Then we give them a reason to regret underestimating us. Kyre's golden eyes gleamed with approval. What do you propose, human? Asked the dragon. First we survive, Alec said, then we fight back together. Kyre let out a deep, resonant growl as his scales shimmered in the dim light. Agreed. Let us remind them that monsters come in many forms. That night, the Creek guards returned, escorting Alec to the interrogation chamber, a routine they used to break prisoners. Alec allowed himself to be led. His body language remained relaxed despite the tension humming beneath his skin. As he walked through the corridors, Alec memorized every detail. The placement of cameras, the patrol patterns, the faint hum of the energy grid. His plan required precision, and this was his only chance. Back in the cell, Kyre waited, his senses sharp. He could feel the unease of the guards outside, their nervous glances directed toward his door. His claws scraped against the floor and his tail flicked with anticipation. Hours later, Alec was thrown back into the cell, his face bruised but his eyes gleaming with determination. "Everything's in place," he muttered, wiping blood from his lip. Kyer rumbled approvingly, and as Alec crouched beside him, he laid out a crude diagram scratched into the stone. "Tomorrow, when they bring the food tray, you'll fake an outburst, a roar that slams against the walls. They'll send reinforcements to contain you. That's when I'll disable the energy grid from their command console." Kyer let out a low growl. "Then you break out," Alec said, meeting the dragon's intense gaze, "and show them what they fear most." The following day, the plan unfolded like clockwork. As the guards approached with the food tray, Kyer rose to his full height, his scales shimmering ominously. He let out a thunderous roar that shook the very foundations of the cell. The guards froze, fear palpable. One of them barked into a communicator to call for reinforcements. Meanwhile, Alec slipped into the shadows as chaos erupted. Kyer slammed his massive body against the walls, denting the reinforced steel, while sparks flew as the energy field flickered, struggling to contain him. The moment the reinforcements arrived, Alec acted. Using a stolen access card hidden in his boot, he slipped into the adjacent control room. The guards were too distracted to notice as Alec worked quickly to bypass security protocols and shut down the energy grid. Alarms blared and the cell doors across the prison slid open. Prisoners of every species poured into the halls, their cries of rage and freedom echoing through the corridors. Now unrestrained, Kyer lunged at the guards. His claws swiped through their ranks with deadly precision. He avoided unnecessary bloodshed, yet his overwhelming presence sent the Creek soldiers scattering. Alec rejoined Kyer in the chaos, dodging panicked guards and prisoners alike. "This way," he shouted, leading the dragon through the fray toward the hangar. At the hangar, a squad of heavily armed Creek soldiers blocked their path. Kyer let out another roar, his golden eyes blazing with fury. "Go, Alec, I'll hold them." Alec hesitated, then nodded. "Don't get yourself killed, big guy." Kyer smirked, a terrifying sight, and charged the soldiers, his massive form blurring into a force of destruction. Alec sprinted toward the hangar, his heart pounding as the alarms grew louder inside. There he found a sleek, unguarded vessel, an older model but functional. Alec powered it up, its engines roaring to life just as Kyer barreled into the hangar. "Get in!" Alec shouted. Kyer leaped onto the ship, folding his massive body into the cargo hold as Alec took control. The ship lifted off, its thrusters blazing as it tore through the hangar shields and into the starry void, leaving the prison ship fatting behind them. Kyer rumbled, his voice filled with satisfaction. "Your plan worked, human." Alec grinned, his hands steady on the controls. "We're not free yet, but we're getting there." With the stars stretching endlessly before them, the medic and the monster prepared for the next chapter of their escape together. The stolen vessel hurtled through space, its engines screaming as Alec pushed the ship to its limits. Alarms blared in the cockpit as the Creek prison ship launched pursuit vessels, sleek and deadly, designed to overpower escapes before they could reach the safety of neutral space. In the cargo hold, Kyer crouched, his claws digging into the metal floor as the ship jolted under enemy fire. His golden eyes narrowed as he turned to Alec. "Their ships are faster. If we do nothing, they'll overtake us." "Working on it," Alec shouted, his hands flying over the controls. With a sudden barrel roll, he narrowly avoided a barrage of plasma bolts. "Any bright ideas, big guy?" Kyer growled thoughtfully. "Head for the Aranus Nebula. Its ion storms will disrupt their tracking systems." Alec raised an eyebrow, impressed. "You know your space lanes. I was a weapon after all," Kyer replied bitterly. "They trained me for more than killing." "Fair enough," Alec muttered as he adjusted their course. "Hold on." The ship veered sharply, plunging into the swirling chaos of the Aranus Nebula. Vibrant clouds of ionized gas illuminated the cockpit, casting eerie colors over Alec's determined face. The pursuing Creek vessels followed, but their systems immediately began to falter. Their targeting locks broke as interference from the nebula set in. "Good, not out of the woods yet," Alec said, his voice tight, as the ship's sensors beeped frantically, warning of an incoming Creek dreadnought skirting the nebula's edge. "They've got a big one waiting for us on the other side." Kyer's growl deepened. "Then we strike first," he rumbled as the dreadnought loomed. Alec and Kyer prepared for a daring move. Alec diverted power from the ship's shields to enhance its stealth capabilities, reducing their energy signature to a faint blip. "We'll use the nebula to hide," he explained, his hands deftly adjusting the ship systems. "Get in close, disable their engines, and make our escape before they can react." Kyer rumbled his approval. "I trust you, human. Let's show them what a medic and a monster can do." Ship glided through the dense iron clouds, approaching the massive Creek vessel undetected. Alec's fingers hovered over the weapon's console, his breath steady despite the tension. "Almost there," he whispered as the dreadnought's bulk filled the viewport just a little closer. At the perfect moment, Alec unleashed a concentrated volley of ion torpedoes. The projectiles struck the dreadnought's engines, sending arcs of blue lightning cascading across its hull. The dreadnought lurched, its systems flickering as the ion overload disabled its propulsion. "We've got a window," Alec said, gripping the controls. "Hang on." As the smaller Creek vessels scrambled to respond, Kyer sprang into action. The Dragon leapt from the cargo hold into the vacuum of space, his scales shimmering with an ethereal glow. Using his immense strength and precise movements, he tore through the Creek fighters, his claws reaming through their hulls with ease. Alec watched in awe as he piloted the ship to keep Kyer within range. "Remind me never to be on your bad side," Kyer roared triumphantly, his voice amplified by the ship's systems. "This is my vengeance and my freedom." With the dreadnought disabled and the fighters in disarray, Alec maneuvered the ship through the chaos, picking up Kyer before the Creek forces could regroup. The Dragon climbed back into the cargo hold, his body coiling with satisfaction as they emerged from the nebula, the stars stretching endlessly before them. Alec leaned back in his seat, exhaling a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "We did it!" Kyer rumbled in agreement, his golden eyes gleaming. "You are clever, human, and brave, and you're not as scary as they made you out to be." Alec replied with a faint smile. "Do not push your luck. Our bond, forged in the fires of escape and survival, is now stronger than ever." Together, they had defied the Creek and proven that even the galaxy's most feared enemies could find common ground. As the stars beckoned them forward, Alec knew their journey was far from over. "Where to next?" Kyer asked, his voice filled with anticipation. Alec grinned. "Anywhere but here." Their alliance, solidified by their daring escape, set their sights on a remote sector rumored to house a hidden sanctuary for those resisting the Creek regime. Known as Haven's Reach, it was a refuge for outlaws, rebels, and all those seeking freedom from tyranny. The journey to Haven's Reach was fraught with tension. Alec's mind churned with thoughts of what lay ahead. Would they find allies, or would their presence draw more enemies? As their stolen ship approached the sector, a massive asteroid field loomed, obscuring the sanctuary's location. Alec maneuvered carefully, following the faint signal of a hidden beacon. Kyer watched silently, his golden eyes scanning the void. Then Alec spotted a cluster of camouflaged structures embedded within the largest asteroid. The sanctuary was alive with activity. Ships coming and going, banners of various rebel factions fluttering in artificial gravity. Their arrival drew immediate attention. Fighters circled their ship, demanding identification. Alec opened a calm line. "We're not your enemies. My name is Alec Brandt, and I have someone you'll want to meet." The fighters escorted them to the sanctuary's central platform. As Alec and Kyer disembarked, a crowd gathered, their expressions a mix of awe and suspicion. A tall woman with a cybernetic arm stepped forward. "I'm Commander Leary, leader of Haven's Reach," she said sharply, her gaze shifting to Kyer. "You brought a Creek beast here, you'd better have a good explanation." Kyer stepped forward, his massive frame towering over the crowd. "I am no one's beast," he rumbled. "I am Caleth, and I fight against the Creek." The crowd murmured, their fear turning to intrigue. Alec stepped beside Caleth, his voice steady. "The Creek made the mistake of underestimating us. Together we escaped their strongest prison, and now we're here to fight back." Commander Leary studied them, her sharp eyes narrowing. "You're either the galaxy's biggest fools or its greatest hope. Let's see which." In the following days, Alec and Caleth integrated into the Sanctuary's community, sharing their story and earning the trust of the rebels. Caleth's presence became a symbol of defiance, his strength and intelligence inspiring others to join their cause. Meanwhile, Alec used his skills as a medic to tend to the injured and train others in battlefield medicine. His calm demeanor and resourcefulness quickly earned him respect. The rebels then began planning a major strike against a Creek supply route. a mission that could cripple the enemy's operations in the sector. Alec and Caleth volunteered to lead the assault, their unique bond proving invaluable in strategy and execution. On the day of the mission, Alec stood beside Caleth and addressed the gathered rebels. "We've all been hurt by the creek. They think they're untouchable, but today we show them they're wrong." The mission unfolded with precision. Caleth, with Alec riding on his back, led the charge. Their combined strength and cunning overwhelmed the Creek forces, and the rebels seized the supplies, delivering a crippling blow to the enemy. The victory ignited hope across Haven's Reach, solidifying Alec and Caleth as leaders in the fight for freedom. As celebration erupted, Alec and Caleth stood on a high platform overlooking the sanctuary. "You've changed everything," Alec said, glancing at the dragon. "For them, for me." Caleth's golden eyes gleamed as he replied, "And you have shown me what it means to fight for something greater than mere survival." Beneath the glittering stars, Alec felt a deep sense of purpose. Together, he and Caleth had become more than just allies. They were a force that would shape the galaxy's future. Their journey was far from over, but one thing was certain. They were ready to face whatever came next, side by side.